interchangeability is an interesting area. I mean, extrapolation I think is much easier because that means, you got a biosimilar that was approved in the neoadjuvant or metastatic setting, you could use it alternatively in the other setting. For example, if you're testing a biologic growth factor like filgrastim or pegfilgrastim, that if it worked in one setting, it's going to work across the settings. I think everybody's been able to embrace that much more easily than the drugs that are being used for therapeutic purposes to treat cancers. But I think that there's growing acceptance that this extrapolation is reasonable, but interchangeability is different, and it means you can switch from the reference to the biosimilar at any time. And interchangeable means that there's really so little difference that the pharmacist who's filling the prescription can decide which one they're going to provide you based on the, whatever criteria, what the insurance requests, what's cheaper, what they bargained for, et cetera, to get a better sort of group price. So that would be interchangeability, and they don't have to ask. So they don't have to come back to the provider and say, you ordered trastuzumab, or you ordered the branded trastuzumab, can I give this biosimilar instead? If it's an interchangeable product, then the pharmacist can change. Interchangeability, as described by the regulatory agencies, is complex because it requires studies that show that you can switch back from one to the other and then back again without changing immunogenicity or safety. Obviously, you're not going to be able to look at efficacy well in that setting. And so it really hasn't been, I don't think, studied in any appreciable way for the therapeutic anti-cancer drugs. And I don't know that it really will be something that happens in the community. I think in the US anyway, that generally pharmacists will have to ask, can we use the biosimilar, and that much of it will be decided by insurers and by negotiations between our infusion centers and drug providers in terms of which agent is being provided at a lower cost.
Manufacturers go to the regulatory agents when they start the production of these biosimilars and ask for guidance either by FDA or by EMA. And part of this guidance after the physicochemical analyses, safety, purity issues, and then based on these data, phase 1 and phase 3 data in patients, part of this guidance is that the manufacturer has to present a thorough pharmacovigilance and safety program which takes place after approval of the drug. This means that as a manufacturer you have to assure that the production is not being changed, because then in a way you produce your own biosimilar of what you have produced before, and you have to follow certain guidelines by the regulatory agents to assure that the quality is not changing.